Western education culture, what motivates students to do well at school? Interest, hobbies, knowledge, and job. Now trust me, you go to anywhere in the state, especially in the mid-chunk United States, Oklahoma, Utah, Ohio, for example, Iowa. They don't understand what stock market is. They don't talk about that at all. They don't understand flipping properties. They don't understand it. They don't have it. But they want interest. Okay? If I'm good in painting, then I'll do painting. I want to become an artist. If I'm good in sport, I want to become a sportsman professionally. And hobbies is most important, okay, in the States. Hobbies is important. To pick up a trade, sports, and stick to it. So they don't think about how much money I'm going to make after university. They don't think about it. They just say, okay, interest, hobbies, knowledge, okay, and job. They just want a job. It's not a banking job. They don't want to be a medical doctor. Maybe they know they did not become a medical doctor. They just say, I just want a job, good, well-paying job. That's good enough. Any job. So this is what is in their mind over there in the United States. And maybe Europe is a similar culture. Okay. And then after school, they do, number one, it's just reverse, they do sports. So parents would actually encourage kids to do sports. And if parents don't encourage them, they're going to do them anyway, right? Because they like it, they do sports. Baseball is big, football is big, American football is big, right? Golf, tennis. It's a sports culture in the States. And then arts and culture. Now that is parental and self. You pick up painting, drawing, whatever that comes to your mind, in terms of arts and culture, they do it. It's a hobby, it's an interest, right? And then computer games at the end. Okay, now the United States, they actually trying to legislate law to limit time high school kids play computer games after school. And they realize that's not a good thing to do. So they try to limit the time they can do, maybe 2 hours a day or whatever. They're still talking about it right now. Okay, at the end, dinner table. That's important, okay? They don't talk about stock markets or flipping properties. They always talk about sports, always. And they talk general topics. Okay, general topics. One favorite subject is, where are we going this weekend? Camping, right? Camping trip. Okay. They love driving long distance to go to a campsite, spend a weekend there. So that is their culture. We understand it, we know that. The U.S. has a lot of bad things going on right now. We know what it is, right? Gun crimes and all that. Looting, shops. That's not good. Those things we don't learn from. But the U.S. does have a lot of things that we should learn from. So their culture is like that. Their education culture, in a nutshell, is all that. As compared with the Hong Kong education culture. So something we've got to learn from the U.S. The good things, not the bad things. Now I just want to introduce my friend here. My 10 minutes is up. My good friend here, my young friend Aaron Chin. Let's just put our hands together again. Aaron Chin.
Hi, my name is Aaron. Phil's tennis buddy, friend.
That's right.
That's where we met. When we started about 3 years ago, and we were very busy. There was a lot of good things about our service. So if you were not using our service, you would just have to sacrifice, many weekends, a lot of your time, to go to many, many different furniture stores, and you would have to spend all day there, and then be confused, and then you'll be measuring things and trying to pick out, all the furniture. And you would have arguments with your wife or your husband. But we make it much more easy, right? And we also do it better than you, I think, hopefully. But we offer that, styling advice, and so that you will come out with a home that it's much more, coordinated, that everything matches with all the other items. So we were selling these benefits very hard when we started. We were yelling at the top of our lungs to people that, hey, our service is faster, our service is probably helps you save money because you buy the right things, you buy the things that fit and that you won't want to change every 3 or 5 years. And we save you a ton of time, right? And that time is money, right? Now you can actually spend time with the kids. Now you can actually spend time with your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, or entertain your friends. So we were really selling that. But I want to tell you that after a little bit of time of running our business, more and more we see, yes, those things are really good, but what we're really selling is that people aspire to live their dream, right? Everyone is living their story, and we realize that every customer that comes to us are moving into a new home because of a very, very important life moment, right? It could be that they're just getting married, so they're setting up their new home. It could be that they are having kids, or their kids are growing older now, or they just need more space. Or it could be a single guy or a single woman, a lady who's just got a couple promotions and now have more money. Now they're moving and now they can afford more than IKEA. So all these we realize that they're all coming to us with a dream, and we realize that yes, we are selling much easier process, better home, prettier home. But what we're really, really selling, what the customer is asking for is, hey, can you help me achieve my dream? Just more pictures of families. There's the same baby and dog in the nursery, the baby room. Another project, so a lot of newly married couples for us. There's a Korean couple that moved to Hong Kong a few years ago from Canada. It's really not rocket science, but it's just really that collaboration with the customer, talking back and forth, what do you and your husband like to do, and how do you guys use your space, and what makes you feel at home. And so every project's different, but the process is all the same. A single guy one time, and I think this is mid-levels, just beautiful apartment, but a little irregular space, so we had to kind of figure that out too. So Fiona and I started the company 3 years ago. Now we have 7 people, well 6.5, one is an intern. So we've done about, or almost, that's a little bit of a lie, but almost 400 homes. We realized that interior styling is not a very common service, right? You've heard of interior designers, right? You need to do a renovation of your new house. You would hire an interior designer / contractor or both. And you would get them to do it, right? Because you have to. But we're thinking interior styling, it's not something you need. You could just go to IKEA, or you could just go furniture shopping yourself. So we sold the information, and I was a corporate salesperson. That was my first job, because I graduated and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I asked my dad, hey Dad, of all the successful people, what that or that can think of, what is one thing that they all have? And he said, they can all sell. They could be a successful lawyer, they could be an actual salesperson who's successful, or a CEO, or a doctor. Everyone has to sell. You always have to communicate your ideas, to convince people, or at least to communicate your ideas. So I thought, okay, well, I gotta be a salesperson then. And I was a very shy person, a very reserved person, so I had to force myself. I actually didn't like the job, just to be very honest. I like the company, I like the people, I was okay with the work, but just because of my nature, I was very shy. So I cannot say, looking back, that I enjoyed it, but I think it was very good for me. It really forced me to go out and cold call and knock on doors of companies and other people to talk to them. And face many rejections every day, and I hated that, but it was a good year and a half. So, and then I joined a company called Bold Concept. Bold Concept wasn't in Hong Kong yet, so I was the first employee. working for my boss who invested to bring the brand over here. And then just, I was kind of thrust into it because I was looking for something a little more exciting or a little more varied, more different responsibilities. So I just asked around, and then my boss at Bull Concept gave me the job to say, hey, I know you want to start a company or do your own thing or start your own projects, but why don't you help me do this? So I was like, okay, but I knew nothing about furniture, I knew nothing about anything. So a lot of things were a first for me, from looking for a store location, renting a store location, to hiring a retail team, to setting up the visual merchandising, to installing the sales system, the POS, the point of sale, the one where you rent people up when they pay, marketing and HR and almost everything. So it's a little bit of an MBA on steroids. I was reflecting on what makes a calling. I think if I think back to what I'm still thinking today, sometimes, but especially the first few years after university, what was constantly on my head, in my mind, was what is my calling? What am I supposed to be doing? I would look at my friends, and some are, a lot of them were in finance, and some work for family businesses, or they're in law or business. What is my role? And of course, I didn't know this much, but everyone's thinking that. Even my friends who look like they're doing really well, they're also thinking, what am I supposed to be doing here? And I think I have a little bit. I created this, but I have a little bit of an answer, but still working through it, right? But I think is, first of all, you break it down. If you break down all the things that you hear about, job titles and companies and brands and things like that, at the end of the day, what you're really doing is just offering value. You individually, and you and your team and your company. You're just selling something. You're doing something for another human being or another group of human beings that is useful for them, and they pay you some money to do it. So the first thing I think is to stop thinking of yourself and think about, what is the market need? What do other people need, right? How can I help them? So there has to be a market need for what you are doing, right? So somebody has to hire you to do that. Important thing. Yeah, it has to be important. It has to be important to other people. And then you have to be able to do it, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you have to have the skills and experience, or at least you have to be willing to do it, right? Maybe one of your skills is, you won't be shy, so you're the guy to do it. So you have to have the experience. And I think the third thing is, you have to think it's meaningful to you. The market could need it, you could be very good at it, but at the end of the day, if you come home and say, what did I just do with my day? Or maybe your friends ask, your family asks, and you don't really want to talk about it, then I think that's kind of a red flag. But if you have all these three things, I feel like you are starting to have your calling, and that's a good indication. I was thinking about competition, and when I started working, I was very much looking around to see what other people are doing in terms of jobs and what sounds successful. And I think there's a lot of benefit from that, and you should do that. You should learn from others. But after a point, I think if you have once you have the core skills, I feel like, to me, it was very important to start thinking about, what am I particularly good at? What am I drawn towards? What lights my fire, so to speak? What makes me so excited to get up every day and just naturally do it? And then, of course, there are things that I don't naturally do. Then I question, is that really what I want to do, or is it necessary to do it? But more importantly, what is the thing that really, really gets me excited? And I think there's a lot of competition, in the job market or in business. And one way is just to be yourself, right? I know that's a very cliche, meaning everyone says that, and I think it's a little cliche. It's a little like you don't want to just, just completely be yourself. You also want to consider what makes sense. But I think one way to stand out, one way to succeed is just to be authentic. If you're the best illustrator in a certain way, you should do that and not try to be someone else. And that's the best way to escape competition, I think. And then the question would come, if you're successful, won't people copy you when you try? I think they will try. But if you are I found that you're very authentic and you really mean to do something, and to brag a little bit, I think that we really mean it. We really mean to decorate for people. And if somebody else with even more money or even more skill than us come along, I'm going to do the exact same thing as them. If they do it for the money, if they do it just to have a successful startup, somehow, I don't know why, but I think people, your customers or your customer audience, they will see. Everybody puts on pants the same way. That's what I heard from somebody, maybe my dad. But it's one of the sayings that that guys say before. But I remember, I think it was my boss who told me, because I was going into to meet a scary meeting, and he was just like, Aaron, everyone puts on pants the same way. I think I was pitching to one of the most expensive.
Anybody heard of that little phrase? There's a phrase that they use a lot in the States, Europe. It's a European kind of thing, it's a US kind of a thing. Everybody puts on pants the same way, meaning one leg at a time, right?
Yeah, so I heard about it when I was about to pitch to this guy something, right? And he was very successful. He was the third or fourth richest guy in Denmark, and he has a huge business in China. So like this towering figure, man. I thought he was so cool. Actually, I didn't think he was that cool, but I thought he was so successful, right? But my boss said that, and it really calmed me down. So it's just that image of the guy putting on pants with no pants on and putting on pants. So it's just kind of funny, right? But I think the meaning is that, if I admire Phil a lot, and that's great, if I really respect him, I feel he's done a lot in his career, but I shouldn't be nervous or scared, right? Because we're just different people. I'm at a different stage. I might be better at some things too, right? So I think that's the, just calm down and just respect others. But remember that I think throughout my career or every day, a lot of people come with good advice too, and you should hear it. But remember that nobody knows everything, and have confidence in yourself, your own ability to figure new things out, especially if it's new. If it's something that you think nobody has really done it this way, chances are maybe nobody has experience in that. And they might have good advice, but you should take that and have your own thought. I think that helps you go faster in your development. Follow your passion. Who has had this advice said to them or read about this a lot? A lot, right? So if you go on social media, everyone's like, follow your passion, follow what you love to do. I think you should, but I think that's only half of it, or just a little bit of it. I think in entrepreneurship, in startups, there's this kind of toxic idea that you should just do it. No matter what anyone says, what the market says, even if you don't have any customers, keep going. Why? Because follow your passion. I don't think that's a good reason, because guess what? What gives you a lot of passion? What happens, right? Is when something is actually working, when you're actually good at it. So I think there's that balance that you got to really, you have to be able to do it, right? And then a lot of times you're doing something and it's not that fun, maybe at first, but you start getting good at it, and then actually the passion comes because you're good at it. Try to run through these quick. So the spontaneous entrepreneur is also a little bit of a lie, I think. I don't think I've met really good business people or entrepreneurs who are very spontaneous, in the sense that they would just jump off a cliff, or they would just go for it without that much information. I think it's true that you have to take risks, but I don't know if you agree, Phil, like the successful entrepreneurs, the successful business people probably are very careful. And yes, they take risks, but they calculate. They make sure that they do as much research as they can. They understand that there's still things that they don't know, that they have to take a risk. So, yeah, so don't quit your job all of a sudden, I think. Which brings me to the next point. I think it's a good idea to work for people. You know, I still don't think I have enough experience working with people. I wish I did more. Maybe I will, you know, go back to work for companies or other people. Because you get paid to learn. And I think most importantly, you get the time. You know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I think you need time. Right? If you have a great idea, it takes time. Everything takes longer than you think. Everything takes more resources. So buy yourself time, and in the meantime, you're getting paid, and you're probably, hopefully, learning from your job. Second last one, I think. Yeah, I think I talked about this earlier. Like everyone, if you think about it, everyone who wakes up every day, you're the main character in your story, right? So if you think about it in terms of sales or marketing, you want to understand that. You know, so when you're selling a product, you want to understand that when you're selling a chair or when you're selling a camera, you're not selling a chair or camera. You're selling something that helps that person think that, oh man, my story, if I get this camera, I'm going to take these great pictures, or I'm going to be a photographer. So it's about their identity. You're helping them fulfill their life story. So I think same thing with, you know, working. If you want to sell your boss on something, or sell your girlfriend to go out with you, you want to sell them on the idea of their life story, right? And you're just part of it. And I think that paradigm is very important for effectiveness of marketing. Last thing, I feel like leadership is just loving others. It sounds really cheesy and like a little like, right? But it really is, right? Like if you love your employee, if you love on them, or somebody that you're trying to mentor, you're gonna be gentle, but at times you're gonna be tough with them, or you're not gonna let them just not do anything or be lazy or do the wrong things, right? Because you care about them. Just like your parents care about you, they love you, they're going to, you know, be tough with you sometimes. So it's just about loving people, you know, hoping for the best. So I think when you do that, people follow. So that's it. I hope that wasn't too much.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Right. No, I really haven't seen that presentation before. So Aaron and I, you know, we did collaborate before, right? We didn't, you know, say to each other, I'm going to say, you know, Phil, you're going to say something to echo me, right? No echo. A lot of things that he said, I went through. So I totally agree with what Aaron has just said, that, you know, number one, reverse from the bottom up. You should work for a company first, right? Connie, right? You want to start up whatever business you want to do. Don't just say, well, I have the passion, I just want to go ahead and do it. Now that is what I call putting the cart in front of the horse. Remember in the old days, you know, there's a carriage, right? There's a horse, there's a carriage. And you can never put a carriage in front of a horse, right? The horse got to be in front pulling a carriage. So don't follow blind passion. What Aaron's saying is, I think the same thing. I have a little saying, a little acronym called KPI. What is KPI? I think someone, you know, studying management, you do, right? Elliot, what is KPI? Key performance indicator, right? Just Google KPI, key performance indicator. I mean, everybody knows that around the world. And my KPI, I invented it myself. It's my invention. Knowledge, K. PMM, passion, right? And I, integrity, honesty, integrity. So my own invention, KPI, is, you know, knowledge followed by passion, and followed by integrity. Well, the three actually very important. Integrity is most important, but because I want to have KPI, so I put integrity at the end. So a lot of people, I find that they say, I have a passion to do something, and they woke up in the morning and said, I have to find the value to do that. I'm going to do it, and end up that 2 weeks later, failed. He went back to his old job, right, and then do something else. So make sure you have that knowledge before you do anything passionate about. Okay? So I just want to pick up his point to say something very similar. Work for a company first, develop your own interest, develop your own passion, then you go and do your entrepreneur stuff. Otherwise, your entrepreneurship is pretty shallow, right? It won't last very long.